Welcome to Actual People, a podcast hosted by me, Chauncey Zulkin, dedicated to meaningful conversations about the evolving landscape of our lives and the power of our own creativity and imagination to make magic. I was thinking about what happened with Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, this horrific murder that just occurred. And first I was thinking about Donald Trump's reaction to it, which is just par for the course. I really liked what Jimmy Kimmel said. If you watch Jimmy Kimmel, he said, we're just going to keep calling this stuff out until everyone gets it. I have a post on TikTok, a clip from one of my episodes about diversity, and 99% of the comments are rhetoric that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. We need to focus on the impact and consequence of what Donald Trump has said and done, and also be looking at the people in his orbit who might be taking his place, but also reasonable, effective, democratic, principled people that we can put in his place. But all that said, I was thinking about, I just read quickly that the couple and their son were at Conan O'Brien's holiday party, and he was walking around saying very strange things, asking people if they were famous, and people were unnerved by him. And I just sort of quickly skimmed this thing this morning. They went home, and this horrible tragedy happened in the hours that followed, the next day or that night, I don't know. But recently in my own community, there was a person trusted and kind who I noticed was behaving bizarrely. And my little spidey senses went off. Something felt terribly off. There was a wild look in his eyes, and the thought went through my head, is this person going to murder me? And this is from like 0 to a million. There was no precedent for this person being violent or unstable, but it's not somebody close to me, so I kind of just didn't give it much thought. I have my own things to think about. But this makes me think, and I told my kids this, that if you are noticing somebody, and I used to be in a party situation or a group of people and something felt off in the room, I'd be out of there. There's been situations where I've been in a room and there's somebody in that room and I go, no, there's something off and I want to get out of there. I want to get away from them. I had a very close friend who is severely mentally ill who was at my house once and started lining up little dolls on the windowsill and accused me of teasing her sexually. This is an old friend. It came out of nowhere. You know, she saw something in me, and she's been diagnosed with schizophrenia, psychotic depression, misdiagnosed probably a million times over. There's so many misdiagnoses out there. Same with this person that I'm talking about with this very recent incident where they had been diagnosed with depression, but it was sort of clear that it was something more along the lines of bipolar. I am not this person's clinician. I am not a clinician yet. But there was a swinging, and I would guess that it was bipolar. I think actually since then they have been diagnosed as bipolar. But I felt afraid and didn't feel good. And I was tired. I had just come home from a flight, so I didn't think much about it. And then a couple days later, it came to light that there was something very wrong, and the person got some help. Things seemed to be going okay. But I feel like it's important to note that if you feel that somebody in your vicinity is off, you are probably right. Of course, there's situations where you're projecting something onto this person, but usually there's something wrong. And you should, even if you're not a mandated reporter, which mental health counselors are mandated reporters, teachers are mandated reporters in some states. I think actually in the state of North Carolina, I think everyone is a mandated reporter. You need to tactfully and with as least disruption as possible, move away from this person and also say something to somebody who might be able to do something. Talk to somebody who's close and say, hey, even if you feel like it makes you look paranoid or like you're overreacting, you still should say something and you should move yourself and other people away from this person. I wonder if this could have been avoided if Rob Reiner's murder, if people had moved people away from this person. The friend of mine that behaved oddly and over many years in and out of institutions, I have in the more recent years decided to cut her out of my life completely. I loved her dearly. She was a formative friend of mine, but she was very verbally and emotionally abusive whenever I did interact with her. And I kind of just accepted it because she had a mental illness. But it came to a point where I decided that I didn't want to touch base and check in with this person anymore. So, I mean, all that's to say, protect yourself and protect others by always speaking up when something feels wrong to you. And I'm thinking about kids that are in middle school and they interact with all kinds of kids in all kinds of situations and kinds of home life. And it's important that they listen to their gut. And it is something that's like a lifelong challenge to listen to your intuition. I have overrode my intuition over and over again in my life, and it has hurt me. I don't do that anymore. I know who my friends are, I know who my intimates are, and I don't venture in a risky way outside of that realm. When I lived in New York and I was involved in so many different social scenes and work situations, I was interacting with all kinds of people all the time. And I would, out of curiosity and interest in people, I would bring all kinds of people into my orbit. And sometimes I would get hurt, including intimate relationships and, boyfriends and stuff. I was thinking about how important it is and how easy it is, how important it is to listen to your intuition and how easy it is to kind of wave away your instincts because you think you're probably wrong. It's sort of that fine balance of being able to tolerate adversity and tolerate tension and stress in your environment, which we all have to do in order to be resilient, and also not being so resilient that you're accepting behavior. I think I was in a relationship for many years that I was able to tolerate. It was an abusive relationship. I was able to tolerate it because I was doing a lot of yoga. I was meditating. So every time this person would do something harmful, I would be able to somehow handle it. So that's also a risk. You always listen to yourself. And instead of a panic, you can react and you can also protect yourself and others by moving away from something that's harmful. It doesn't have to be a hysterical reaction, but I think this is just sort of a reminder to listen to your gut and your intuition. Okay, so I just want to start putting more frequent things out there, and this is something that I thought would be interesting to address. And I already did a TikTok about this. It's sort of like a pop culture thing, but I thought it was interesting. And you can go and find this on TikTok where I was talking about the guy who played Luke from Luke and Laura from General Hospital from the 80s. He passed away, the actor. And in reading this summary of his life or the story, Luke and Laura was like the epic love story of my childhood on TV. And, Laura was supposed to be dead, but she was really alive, and Luke really missed her. And there was this Christopher Cross song about Laura. I would come home from school to watch the storyline and be like, oh my God, she's just in the next room. But it turns out that earlier in this storyline, Luke raped Laura. It was just part of the romantic narrative that he forced himself on her and she resisted, but she loves him so much. And I just thought, in line with all of this stuff about intuition, that somehow we integrate these very self-harming behaviors into our own attitudes as children, as young people, no matter what we're taught, we've internalized this. And it's astounding. I mean, the narratives have shifted and changed when you go back and watch 80s TV shows and 80s movies or even 90s, even in the 2000s, actually, they have changed dramatically. I mean, we were subjugated in almost every storyline in movies and television. Now I feel like they're trying to, it's too hard to be so representative in every single story. There's always a lesbian or gay couple or every single show, which feels like tokenism to me, is sort of an overcompensation for these toxic storylines and narratives. Now it's sort of like, oh, there's got to be one of each and every couple's interracial. I think it's great to normalize those things, but it's become like every story has to have everything in it. Anyway, you have to listen to yourself while you're taking in these external narratives and watch what's in your environment and listen to your own reactions and monitor your own thoughts bodily sensations, feelings somatically in your body and your emotions, making sure that you're aware, observing, and acknowledging what is there and acting according. Okay, that's it for today. Please follow Actual People on all the socials, comment and share. It's so important. I'm trying to ramp back up. I'm going back to school on January 5th. Got episodes lined up where I'm going to be developing monologues for really interesting content about a range of topics that are both serviceable and also just great conversations and reflections on society and culture. So stay tuned and please share and connect. And any way that we can sort of telegraph this podcast, I'm going to try to do more video, more YouTube, because that's where people are more. It's very hard to find a podcast. So I'm going to be doing more video stuff. Bear with me because I don't read scripts. Okay. Have a great day. Bye. You've been listening to Actual People. This show is written, directed, and executive produced by me, your host, Chauncey Zalkin. Show sound designed by Eric Aaron. Click on the link below to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. And don't forget to leave a review. I'll be sharing my favorites. You can find our socials and all links to deeper dives into these topics at chaunceyzalkin.com and on my Substack at chaunceyzalkin.substack.com. Actual People is available wherever you get your podcasts.